Hey, what's going on everyone? I'm Silentcore, and in today's video I'm going to be talking about Middle-earth: The Shadow of Mordor. So I've been playing an absolute ton of this game this weekend. It was actually released over here a little bit later than the rest of the world. I think in Australia it was released on the 8th of October, however in the US and the UK it was released on the 30th of September. So we did have to wait a little bit longer for this game. But sometimes being in Australia sometimes really helps with games. I think Australia is almost a whole day ahead of the United States, so you can almost get your hands on a game or be online on a server on a game a whole day early over the US. However, some games like this one you have to wait a little bit longer for. However, I did find that waiting the 8 extra days was totally worth it. I'm absolutely loving this game, and I thought I'd make this video and show you guys the top 5 reasons why I think this game is super awesome. So the first reason is that this game was just not overhyped. Now I don't know about you guys, but I've been finding with a few other games, especially this year, I've been really overhyped. You know, the games have really overmarketed, and it just leads you to think that it's going to be something that it turned out not to be. And it didn't seem to be the case with this game. You know, it wasn't overhyped at all. In fact, it actually really exceeded my expectations, and from what I've seen online, it's exceeded a lot of other people's expectations too, which is really nice to be kind of over-delivered for a game and just not feel that sort of sense of disappointment that I have had with a few other titles this year. The second reason that the orcs you're killing, they actually have a bit of personality. They're not just mindless cannon fodder that are running around that you can just hack and slash. They actually have a bit of personality. You can actually get to know them in some cases. And I've also noticed they react differently to different situations. One of my favourite abilities is called Brutalize. It's where you grab an orc and you brutally stab him repetitively, and this is so brutal, I guess, that it causes any other orcs that are ensuing you or chasing you at the same time to actually change their mind about attacking you, and it'll send them changing direction and fleeing for their lives, which is actually pretty funny. Next up is that dying isn't always a bad thing. So when you die in Shadow of Mordor, it isn't like most games. You don't just restart from the last checkpoint and then try again. When you get killed, the orc that killed you, even if it was just a tiny little minion, they'll actually they'll level up, they'll grow in power, and sometimes it can actually affect the whole chain of command. And I've actually seen it result in a grunt being promoted to a captain. They'll get better armor, they'll get stronger, and you'll probably have to kill them later on in the game. Now this leads me into the whole sort of Nemesis system, which is actually really unique. I've never really played another game that has something like this. So it's basically a hierarchy system that starts with the war chiefs, and then under them is a web of captains. Now these captains, they'll be constantly competing for dominance, so the grunt that just killed you could possibly knock off one of those harder captains for you and actually save you a bit of work. So dying isn't always a bad thing in this game. So the fourth reason is all the different modes of combat available. And I've just found that combat in general is just a load of fun in this game. It's super fluid, and there's so much more to it than just spamming one button. And there's just so many different things you can do with your enemies. You can say you have a bow that slows down time for a short period, and you can time your headshots and knock off a few people before you get into battle. You can also sneak up and perform stealth maneuvers on a few enemies, or you can just run in swords blazing and take on everything at once. And while fighting multiple enemies, as you'll see, you get prompted quite often to counter some hits, which will result in your character sort of running back and forth between several different orcs at once, and you can actually take on quite a big crowd at once. You'll have to watch out in some situations when there's actually reinforcement calls or there's horns to signal reinforcements, and they'll just work together to take you out. And quite often in this game, you find yourself just completely surrounded with enemies, a bit overwhelmed, and you find yourself just having to run away. Running away is actually the best strategy in sort of these situations. And there's also quite a few cases where you can just use the environment to your advantage. I think at one point I used my bow and arrow to shoot off the locks on a bunch of cages and unleash these big beasts that were just helping me in the fight, and they actually took out quite a few orcs, so that was pretty funny. And also, when you do knock down an enemy, you can perform a bunch of different executions. You can just, I guess, execute them, kill them straight away, or you can interrogate them for information. You can make them tell you information about enemy captain locations, or even control their mind and actually bring them over to your side. And that brings me on to the fifth and last point, which is exploring the open world. So one thing I think Shadow of Mordor really got right is just the open world. It feels like a really good size, it's enough to explore. But I think at the same time it's not too big. I have found with a few open world games there's just so much little collectibles or side things to collect. It just feels like you're kind of cleaning up. It feels like too much of a chore and a task. However, I think Shadow of Mordor, they got it right. There's a bunch of collectibles that are really worth picking up. You know, you can level up your stuff, and it's really rewarding getting them, but they're not too annoying. You know, there's not too many of them that it's like a massive big annoyance having to go get them. So that was my top 5 reasons why I really like this game. I've actually been playing this one on PS4, but it is also available on PC, PS3, Xbox 360 and Xbox One. I'll put a link in the description if you want to check out the link and read any more information on this game. And do let me know in the comments if you have played this game, what are your initial opinions on it so far. So thank you guys so much for watching. Don't forget to leave the video a like and also subscribe for more videos like this one. All my social media links will be in the description if you want to follow me on Facebook, Twitter or Instagram. Have yourselves an awesome day, and I'll catch you in the next video.